Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In this video I'd just like to do a very quick roundup of the US E-minis for yesterday, which was Tuesday, November the 8th. Particularly looking at the standard and automatic trade setups. In fact, if I go to the NQ, this is probably the easiest one to start with. As you can see here, we had a TS3 buy setup. It was a standard MTPredictor trade setup because it was in the direction of a blue STF. This sell setup here was against the blue STF, so you'd want to be ignoring it. Same with these two sell setups here. They're against a blue STF, therefore you'd want to be ignoring it. So the only trade setup that was valid with the standard MTPredictor guidelines was this TS3 buy. So let's put the analysis on. To do this is very easy. Right mouse click, click on select automatic setup, click on the blue buy reversal bar which is here, and as you can see this trade here reversed to the typical wave CWPT, which actually nailed the very low of the day. The market then rallied very strongly to reach our first target here. If we come down, the STF excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough today. Once we actually reach the first target, we come down. The STF is weak, therefore we come out at our first target, and as you can see, the result was a lovely 6.8R profit. Now you remember that we always look at profits in terms of risk units. In other words, we use position sizing to vary the number of lots to keep our risk small and constant and under control. In this case, less than 2% of a sample $20,000 account. So here the 4 contracts allowed you to risk $340. The profit was approximately $2,300, ignoring slippage and commission. So the profit of this first target was a lovely plus 6.8R, or 6.8 times the initial risk. But the bit that I liked most about this trade was how it had you long from the very low of the day. Obviously a great place to take a long trade set up if you're a day trader. So that was the 3-minute NQ. If we look at the Russell Index, here some slightly different trades. There was a TS1 buy hit set up here that didn't turn out as anticipated. It got basically to the 100% initial risk level before coming down. There was a sell set up in here that was a valid one, but that would have been stopped out for -1. And then you came in and got this lovely buy setup. This lovely buy setup which had you long here. Let's now look at the YM. This is one I want to look at in a bit more detail because we had a history triangle here. So I want to stress again that history triangles, if I put the analysis on, again right mouse click, select automatic setup, click on the blue buy reversal bar, you see it tells us what setup it was and gave us our entry levels. But here I want to have a look at these bars here, and if we look at these lows here on this bar, you can see the low was 958, and again there 958. So it would not have been stopped out at our stop trigger of 957. So this long trade would not have been stopped out. So the question a lot of traders ask me is, why is it does the software put a history triangle on when the trade would not have been stopped out? Well, it's because it was a double bottom, because this bar here had a low of 958 and these bars were also lows at 958. The software has to move forward to then be able to view any potential new trade setups, but because it's a double bottom, then it puts the history triangle in. So this is why I always say to people, whenever you see a history triangle here, do not assume that it's a losing trade. That's why we allow you to place the analysis onto the trade like this. You can then see where the stop trigger is, in this case 957. You can see where the bar lows here, in this case 958, and therefore you know the trade was not stopped out, and as such again would have had you long from the very low of the day. In this case we got up to the first target about here. STF would again been weak, so a lovely plus 6.5R profit. So like the NQ, this would have been a very good trade to have yesterday. If I go forward and have a look at the ES, a very quiet day on the ES, where the only potential trade setup was here, and that was against a blue STF. So overall, a very good day for MTPredictor on the USE Minis, where in particular we had a very good buy setup off the very low of the day on the NQ for a lovely plus 6.8 hour profit. The Russell Index was a bit choppy to start with, but then had this lovely buy setup here. The YM, just like the NQ, had a lovely buy setup which nailed the very low of the day and also had a very nice profitable trade, in this case plus 6.8R. Again, remember we look at profits in terms of risk units, so here the position sizing would have allowed you to take 5 contracts, again keeping the initial risk under 2% of a sample $20,000 account. This time the profit would have been 2,500, well almost just under 2,600, so 2,597, which was 6.5 times the initial risk. Again, that's why position sizing is so important, because it keeps your initial risks and losses when they do unfold small and your profits large. So overall, a very good day for MTPredictor, particularly on the NQ and the YM, where we had some lovely trades right off the very low of the day for some very large profits.